Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Tonight we're checking out a 2022 INFINITI QX60 at night. So this video focuses on the interior and exterior lighting of the vehicle. Check my channel for the full overview. It's a separate video. So first I want to point out that I have the headlight switch to the complete off position. I even have the parking brake engaged. And I still have this very bright LED light strips here. The daytime running lights basically are still illuminated, and they are super bright. Could potentially mistake those as headlights, maybe. So if you want the vehicle with the engine running to be completely dark, it doesn't seem like you can do it. Now I have the parking lights on, and the bright LED strips are a little bit dimmer, just a tiny bit dimmer. It's kind of hard to tell. Let me change the brightness here. It's a little bit dimmer, but basically the only other light that turns on here in the front are these amber LED side markers right here. You can see those from the side. The tail lights are now illuminated with the parking lights, and these are red in color. Camera kind of makes them look a little orangey, but they are red. Once again, I'll dim the camera a little bit so you can see it's a nice deep red. It's a very nice LED strip. All the lights here on the exterior of the vehicle are LEDs. Here's the turn signal here in the front, and it is an amber in color, and you see it just displaces that white light that was there. Now it's just a flashing, very bright amber turn signal. So change the brightness there. You can see when I have it normal brightness, it is blasting out the camera, so I have to dim it quite a bit to see it. Very sharp, bright LED. You can see it from the front and the side with no problem. There's also an amber turn signal indicator here on the side mirror. That's also visible from the front, the side, and the back. And here's a turn signal here in the back. And it is an amber in color, and it's separated a little bit from the taillights, which is pretty nice. Change the brightness a little bit here. Hopefully you can see that it's amber. It's a different color than the taillight. Yeah, that looks about right there, as far as color-wise. And it's in a high position. I think this is really good. It's a different color, so it's not going to be mistaken for brake lights. And it's in a high position, so it can be seen, and it's very bright. It's a very bright light, just like the front. When you're in a very dark environment like this, when you hit the unlock button, it has these exterior lights that turn on. There on the side mirror, it shines on the ground, but also look at here, very bright lights there underneath the vehicle that just kind of illuminates around the sides, the front, and the back, so you can see what you're stepping on when you get to the vehicle. They don't last very long, so you do have to go ahead and get in the car, because see, they go right back out. And when you hit the unlock button again, they don't turn back on. So they're just a very brief timeout. So I'm hitting the unlock button, they're not turning back on. So that would be nice if they stayed on, or at least you can turn them back on when you push the unlock button again. So let's go ahead and turn the low beams on. See, right now, those are the parking lights on, and you can see that they shine quite a bit of light on the ground, so you could mistake those as headlights. So let's go actually turn the headlights on. You'll see the difference. You can see it's a much higher and brighter position there, but I can see where somebody might drive around in a little bit and think that they have their headlights on with these lights on. So there's the headlights, that's the low beams, there's the high beams. The low beams are a projector, LED projector. You can see the projector there on the outside of the housing, and it's a lens that focuses the beam and has a clear cutoff with the intention of not blinding other drivers. Before I turn the high beams on, I just want to show you that those are reflectors, so it's getting pretty bright. So once I turn those on, you might not be able to see that they're separate. The low beams are a projector, the high beams are reflectors. So there's the high beams, and you can see the inner portion, the reflectors kind of join in with the low beams, so that way it has better coverage and brighter and greater distance. You'll see that it is a combination of reflector and projector on the low and the high beams. So as I dip down, you'll see the inner portion shine on the camera first, and as I go a little bit lower, you can see it gets much brighter, and then it's the combination of both of them. The cargo lights have some pluses and minuses. One of the pluses and minuses, I guess you could say, is this light right up here on the inside of the tailgate. And it shines kind of like intended to be like an over-the-shoulder type light. The only problem is it's not bright at all. I mean, it's only on the dimmest night would you even be able to see it anywhere in here, especially with the black interior. But there is, so it needs to be brighter. So maybe a bulb change might help with that. There is some really bright accent lights right in here that are kind of help out a little bit with the illumination, but they're just basically accent lights for the most part. Because you can see I have some equipment here. There is a light right here, but that's really intended for the third row. So when you have the third row seats up like this one is up, that light doesn't make its way back here very much. So you can see there's quite a bit of dark space right here. And you know, since I have that seat down, it's able to illuminate that. So, you know, of course, brighter light on the tailgate, maybe lights here on the sides would help, shining in here. Maybe an additional light up here at the top. Maybe 2 lights on the tailgate, one on over each shoulder, and make them brighter. That would be my suggestions, but it's okay, but I would say it's still a little inadequate. You do have backlit buttons here to close the tailgate, which is nice. So here's the inside of the back door, and you'll notice a theme here. There's a lot of warm tone color lights. So you see in the door there is a warm tone puddle light, which is pretty bright. It does illuminate the ground nicely. And then there's this light right here that illuminates this handle, and it's a pocket as well. There's also, you can't really tell right now, but there's a light under here, just a very subtle accent light. And then there's a backlit illuminated light for the window, power window. But the rest of the door is dark, even the pocket at the bottom, which is kind of surprising. Okay, so the third row, you can see that dome light there in the center illuminates this area quite well, especially with the light colored seats. But the black floor, you know, kind of absorbs the light, so you can't really see all that good. The second row, it's a little bit not quite as bright, but it does have a light on either side. So there's one on the other side, this side and that side of the sunroof. So you can see halfway decent back here in the seats. Floorboard still a little bit dark because it's black carpet for one thing, but it could have some additional lights in my opinion. Then you have some backlit buttons here, which are nice. You can find the USB ports and the climate control, no problem. Basically the same deal on the inside of the front door. We have a nice bright puddle light, and once again these are warm tone color, or warm tone lights. So you can see there's one there, you got that one. The pockets are dark, backlit illuminated buttons, and then there's an accent light right in here, which when I shut the door and turn off all the lights, you'll be able to see that a little bit better. And then the seat controls here, or the presets for the seats, are backlit illuminated. And check out the INFINITI badge in here. It's pretty nice. You can see that there, and in the back door. Forgot to show you that. Even in the back door has that. So the sill plate is illuminated, looking pretty cool. The floorboard does have a very subtle illumination. Can't really tell right now, but we'll see on the inside. And the lights here on the front, the seats are illuminated quite well. And then you have those 2 center lights there in the middle, is where all the light's coming from here in the front. Of course, they kind of blend in with the rest of them to illuminate the whole area pretty good with the doors open and the interior lights on. You can see in here pretty good. And there's actually some pretty decent pocket lighting as well. So we'll see that when we get inside the vehicle, and we're going to take it for a test drive so you can see what it looks like going down the road. So I'm sitting in the driver's seat, got the door open a little bit, has the interior lights on, so you can see what it looks like. And it's a very warm color of the lights. They're not super bright white, and I think that's intentional. Let's go ahead and shut the door. So the interior lights fade out and we're left with backlit buttons. So here on the steering wheel, see they're just pretty traditional backlit buttons there, except for that nice blue one popping out. The doors have nice soft light. You can see right here underneath that part, like a little accent, and then the handle also serves as like a little door pocket light. But the lower portion is dark, so there's no lights there. There is a very dim light there in the floorboard. Let me increase the brightness so you can see. It's a very dim floorboard illumination, which is pretty cool. Probably look better. You'd be able to see a little bit more if there was something bright down here. My shoes are the only way you can tell is my white socks. But continuing on, we got some backlit buttons there. The screen it shows like on camera that it's flickering, but it's not actually flickering. It's just because the camera's making it do that. But it's a nice, good brightness. You can increase the brightness, then it gets too bright. So right there is pretty good. But let's go down to the different ranges here. So that's the lowest. And on a real dark night, and I'm just kind of cruising along, I probably would put it at its lowest, but it's still, even at the brightest, besides the super bright, even at the brightest, I don't think it's too bright. I think all those levels are fine for my eyes. The screen is looking nice. Let's go ahead and put the camera on so we can see around the vehicle. Now the camera is a little bright, so let me turn the brightness down on the camera so it doesn't look too ridiculous. Because you can see pretty good around the vehicle. It kind of brightens it up. We do have some parking lot lights, but even here in the shadows there, you can see really good. It's a really good brightness on the camera systems. So climate control is all backlit. Even this pocket right here has a warm tone light in it, and that's where the wireless charger is. There's also USB ports that are backlit. There's the shifter, all that's backlit. You even have some, a little bit of illumination, very subtle there in the cup holders, which is pretty good. This center console armrest has a bright light in it, pretty bright. You can see in there pretty good, really good. That's like super bright compared to the other areas. Glove compartment does have a soft lighting in there, and it's a warm tone. A lot of this stuff is warm tone colors. So you can see another accent there on the dash. That's a warm tone color, and it continues on behind the radio. Goes all the way across, right in here. Warm tone color. Same thing there in the back. There's the buttons there in the back in the dark. So up here, above the rearview mirror, there's some backlit buttons, and it does have the interior light button illuminated, which is a big plus. Not sure why some vehicles don't illuminate that button, but I'm glad to see that it's illuminated here. There's also like a little soft light right here that kind of adds some super dim light in the middle. When it's super dark, it kind of illuminates this area here. So it's not super duper dark, so you know, it does add a little bit, but it's only when it's super dark it kind of adds like a little moonlight there, like a soft light, just to give you your bearings in the vehicle, which is great. The the visors have a mirror and it has a light up here. And once again, it's more of a warm tone light. So the low beams, like I mentioned, have a clear cutoff, and you can see on this fence right here, hopefully you can see there's the high beams, there's the low beams, and you can see there's a little spot to the left there, right in there, where it dips down a little bit. It's like a notch in a way, and it kind of intends to avoid blinding other drivers. You'll see on the road where it's lined up. It's lined up on oncoming traffic on the other side of the road. And I'm gonna have the automatic high beams turned on, so we'll see how well they work around other cars. Okay, so hopefully you can see that side of the road where the oncoming traffic is. You notice we're going up and down hills and hitting bumps. So that line, the cutoff line of the low beams is intended to be below their eyes, but since we're, you know, hitting bumps and going up and down on the road, sometimes that line goes above the eye level. So they dip that part down just a tad, and this is a common feature in almost all vehicles that I've seen, where the intention is to try to avoid blinding oncoming traffic. So here's a nice dark road, and I'm able to see pretty good. The light is evenly distributed from the vehicle on out and side to side. Really good illumination on the side, really. So this is the type of road where the setback of the woods is quite a ways, and you can still see all the trees there on the sides and the road nicely. So hopefully the camera can pick it up, because it is looking pretty good. So this is the high beams, and it's just distributed well. I think the combination of the projector and reflector seems to be doing a good job of, sometimes there's like a patchiness to the light, like it's not evenly distributed, but this one seems to be done really well. I think the patchiness can be seen when you're close to objects, but once you get the vehicle shining light on distant objects, it kind of blends in a little bit more. But yeah, these are bright LED headlights, and I'm satisfied with these. I mean, they look good. And the automatic high beams seem to work fine. Just a quick update on the automatic high beams. They do not work very well. They constantly flash and dim at the inappropriate times, and it's really causing a problem, so I basically have to turn them off.